And we are live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast, to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Charlotte Hornets, I want to make sure to remind you guys of a few short things. First off, if you aren't so much into long form content, but you do like Detroit Pistons content and you like our podcast, make sure to follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel because we post YouTube reels and clips on our Instagram. They're around 30 to 50 seconds long, and they're usually the highlights of each and every recap and Saturday episodes. So make sure to do that if you're not as so much into watching a 30-minute video or so on. Also, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And the Pistons won tonight. So make sure to give us a thumbs up in honor of the Detroit Pistons win. And as you can see, I am buffed up, and Ryan is also, because every Detroit Pistons win, the Revved Up Boys get buffed up in celebration. And this is only our 5th time doing it, but hey, we will take it. Tonight's final score was 106 to 113 in the 3-1-3 Detroit Pistons favor. So, Ryan, when talking about this win, a huge crucial point was these last couple minutes of the fourth quarter. And fortunately for the Pistons, they were able to go on a 13-2 run to solidify this win. But Ryan, when watching tonight's game throughout all 4 quarters, what was the biggest factor for winning basketball tonight?
Can I name a single person? Because that would be Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah.
Without him, this game probably would have been ended in a loss. I mean, the fact that it was 113 to 106 when it all came down to it. Bojan put on an absolute clinic, had 34 points. But I will say, as good as Bojan was, there were times where you needed somebody, an energy guy, to rejuvenate this offense or to make a stop on defense. And Asar Thompson came up defensively time and time again tonight. You had Jalen Duren come up with crucial rebounds to end the fourth quarter, something that we lacked against the Bucks previously. My comment about how we didn't hit the glass hard enough to end the court and the fourth quarter to end the game. It was all in the Bucks' favor. Tonight wasn't the case against the Hornets. We were hitting the glass hard, getting crucial rebounds when it mattered the most. And then defensively, we were making defensive stops at opportune moments. You had Isaiah Stewart with the cut from who was it? It was, I believe, Miles Bridges went with baseline to make a drive to the hoop. You had Stu cut him off, forced the ball out. There you go. You had Asar Thompson with a steal in the paint. You had just numerous situations where in opportune moments we were making a defensive stop, we were getting a rebound, or we were hitting a shot at the right time. And that ended up in our favor tonight against the Hornets. And these guys really worked hard to get this win, and it was evident.
Yeah, it was definitely a well-rounded team win with Bojan leading the way offensively. Making the right plays defensively in the late stretches of this game is really what solidified that win. And tonight we saw the debut of Monte Morris, long awaited. 44 games it took for him to make his debut with the Pistons. And you know what? I liked his play tonight. In 11 minutes, he had 7 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 of 4 shooting, 1 of 1 from the 3-point line. And let's see if he got anything else. That was about it. No turnovers. We love to see that, right? So Monte Morris, in the little bit we saw him in limited minutes really made a big impact. And there was this point there where 3 possessions nearly in a row, Monte Morris was racking up the assists. He really can lead an offense, and he really showed that off tonight. Ryan, what were some of your thoughts when analyzing Monte Morris?
I knew coming into this season that he was going to be one of those big impact players for us. And tonight it was just evident. I mean, he played limited minutes, wasn't given a big role, and it was kind of more of like, hey, go out there, do your thing. You're not going to get a ton of playing time because you're literally just, this is your first game this season, coming off injury. Let's just go see what you can do. Get the rust off the tires and go do your thing. And he was amazing in those 11 minutes. I mean, the fact that he missed one shot, that's it, had a three, had 7 points, 3 assists, and 3 boards in that time. Like, you can't ask more out of a player that this is his first game this season, coming off an injury. I mean, the heck, that injury kept him out 43 games, right? It took him a long time to finally get out there and suit up and play NBA minutes this season. And in his first game, I'm happy with the results. It shows you how good of a player he is, that he doesn't need a lot of minutes to do something special. That's the same thing going along with Danilo Gallinari, who did not get the suit up tonight. But same to be said with Mike Muscala. These guys that we added in, these veteran pieces that we added in this offseason, and then this past trade for us, you're seeing the value of these guys and what they're able to do on a nightly basis, given only a couple minutes. It really shows you the value that these guys contain. And Monte Morris nailed it for me, because that's exactly what I wanted to see out of him. And I'm definitely ecstatic to see what he can bring on a nightly basis going forward.
Something that stands out to me from tonight's matchup, when you're analyzing the box score, you can't help but notice LaMelo Ball, right? He's one of the biggest contributors on the Hornets. And when he plays well, that's what decides if the Hornets are going to win games or not. And you look at the box score and you see, okay, he's got 17 points, solid. You think immediately, okay, 17 points, respectable. But something that the Detroit Pistons were able to do is not let him gain any momentum. That was a gross 17 points, is for a lack of a better term, because he shot 21, 6 of 21 from the field and 1 of 8 from the 3-point line. So that tells a big story, because that shows us that we know LaMelo Ball on any given night can give your favorite team 50 points. You just never know. But the Pistons were able to get within himself, utilize Asar Thompson in the late stretch where he was able to force the turnover on LaMelo Ball. And then Killian Hayes was able to hold his own. And so I was just really impressed with the way our backcourt kind of followed game plan when going up against a very savvy LaMelo Ball. I was impressed.
Yeah, LaMelo Ball is very hard to contain. Like, the fact that what he's done so far in his career up until now, it's impressive to see, because there's not a lot of players out there that has somewhat of similar abilities that he has, right? And he's one of those dynamic players where he can easily beat you off the dribble. He can easily just dish it out into the corner, find somebody that normally wouldn't be open, is open just because of him. The ball goes through him, and the offense goes through him for Charlotte. And the fact that the main contributor to their offense in terms of scoring the ball, we were able to limit, then that pushes LaMelo Ball into, crap, I got to get this ball out and find somebody and just rack up these assists, find a way to make this offense still move. And we were clogging those lanes. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't really pass the ball, couldn't really get an open shot. It didn't matter what he tried to do. He just couldn't do that tonight. And that was a big reason why we won this game, because, I mean, when you're allowing LaMelo Ball to only have 7 assists on you, that's pretty darn good, because any given night on most teams, he can go out there and give you 10 plus assists along with 17 plus points. And so the fact that we were able to slow him down, not only passing the ball, not only shooting the ball, but everywhere, it shows you, like, this team that the Hornets have is extremely beatable if you limit LaMelo Ball. It's like the same thing happened to us earlier on as Pistons this season, when Cade earlier on was getting double teamed. We started falling apart because we needed the ball to go through Cade's hands. That's what the Hornets need. That's what the Hornets situation is. If LaMelo Ball doesn't have the ball going through his hands, this team is like lost. And it's crazy to think of because you have Miles Bridges over there, who's a bona fide all-star, soon to be like it could be like multiple all-star appearances for the rest of his career. Not saying he is like spectacular, but he is an all-star caliber player. PJ Washington could be an all-star caliber player. And then you have like Nick Richards, who, for what he is a great player. And so when you're able to limit LaMelo Ball, you limit the Charlotte Hornets, and that's a recipe for success.
A huge contributor tonight for the Detroit Pistons off the bench was Alec Burks. Well, per usual, he got us his 14 points. It wasn't the prettiest 14 points, shooting 4 of 11 from the field. But when you have, Killian Hayes not getting you double-digit points and Jaden barely not even, just right on the edge of getting double-digit points, it was great to get that 14 points off the bench from Burks. It was crucial because, we know Bojan obviously can have nights like tonight where he gets 34 points, but there's only this guy can do so much on the offensive end. You need that help. So it was great to see Alec Burks have a good offensive outing. That was just so necessary. And then I mentioned Killian Hayes. His points, not off the charts, but he made an well-rounded impact tonight. Killian Hayes gave us 6 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 of 3 from the field. So it's not like he was even putting up that many shots. He was just taking what the defense gave him. And I really like to see a well-rounded game from Killian because that's what's going to lead to winning basketball. When Killian can protect the ball, have good shooting, and just try to facilitate. 8 assists from Killian. I'm ecstatic about it. I think he really met the mark of what we should expect from Killian.
Yeah, this is who he is. He's a pass first player. He doesn't look for his shot. And if he does look for his shot, he's wide open. And he normally hits it. It's usually in the paint, usually a floater or a fadeaway, or even a layup at times. He always is a pass first mentality. He always has that. And that's what I love about him. There's not a lot of you out there that actually like him. And I understand why you don't like him, but he is a good quality player for what he's worth. It's not like but I'm not going to get into that tangent. I was going to go into that tangent. I'm not going to even open that. But Killian Hayes, what he showed us tonight with the 8 assists is a big thing. And outside of the 8 assists, we know he can pass. The 7 rebounds for him tonight was a big staple in us winning this game because there's not a lot of guys out there that can go out and do everything for you. We made the comment about Asar Thompson recently. He is our utility player. He is one of those guys that can fill up the box score in any single stat you want him to. Mm-hmm. Killian Hayes is similar in that sense. He's not going to go out there. He could give you 20 if you really wanted him to, but he's not going to go out there and look for a shot. He looks for others before himself. And when you have a pass first point guard on your team, good things happen. Because if you have a guy out there, and this is no disrespect, I'm not throwing shade, but if you have a guy like LaMelo Ball, he's going to force up his shot. He forced up 21 shots, only made 6. Killian Hayes had 3 shots, made 2, but mainly looked to pass. When you have a pass first point guard, good things happen.
Now, when telling the story of this Pistons versus Hornets matchup, you have to talk about how this was not an easy win for the Detroit Pistons. The Hornets had many guys that showed up and played very well tonight. And I think that speaks to how hard-nosed this Pistons team is and how they're willing to fight through adversity. Because Miles Bridges had a great game with 20 points, 10 rebounds. You had Nick Richards get 21 points, another double-double with 10 rebounds. And then off the bench, you had PJ Washington flirting with a triple-double with 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 4 of 6 from the field. So this was a team where the Hornets are kind of in the position that we are. They got some young talent, hasn't really panned out to playoff basketball. They're on the end of under 500. And when they show up, they typically win games, but they don't show up very often. So the fact that the Pistons were able to squeak through and get this win proves a lot to me because this is the second win they've gotten against the Charlotte Hornets. And this roster that they have is nothing to blink at. LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges. They used to have Terry Rozier. bye-bye to him. And then they got Brandon Miller, who's a great player. And then Nick Richards, PJ Washington. I mean, the list goes on. They have the talent. You can't take a blank at this Hornets team. This was a great win for the Pistons because it shows that they are starting to maybe get over a little bit of a hump here, which feels great.
Yeah, you list all that talent on that Hornets team, but they're still missing one thing. They don't have a lot of veteran players on that team. Yeah, you have Ish Smith, you have Frank Ntilikina, you have, I mean, that's about it, because you could go and make an argument that a couple of them are vetted players, but they really aren't. But they only have really two vets on that team, and you can tell because of how they play. The Pistons play like they have veteran players, they have good depth. They play like a team does. The Hornets just plays like an AAU team going out there doing their thing, hoping to get the win. We went out there tonight and we played good well, okay, it wasn't spectacular basketball. We did not do everything right to win this game. There's a lot of mistakes that were made. But when it came down to it, this team put their head down and still ended up getting the result that they wanted to. And that shows you, like, Alec Burks came in clutch for us, 15 points. Bojan Bogdanovic, weren't for him, this game probably would have been lost in the Hornets' favor. Gave us 34. Stu gave us 11. Duran gave us 14. And then even Asar Thompson gave us 7. Monte Morris gave us 7. We've had like a lot of these guys on this team, as good as they are, it helps to have vet players around you, because I can almost guarantee you, if this Hornets team had as much vet talent as we had, we would have lost this game. But because Bojan Bogdanovic, because Alec Burks, because Mike Muscala, because Monte Morris and all these other guys have stepped up when we needed points, when we needed something to happen, that's what resulted in us winning this game.
Historically, I am very tough on Beef Stew. And it's been since his rookie year. For some reason, I've always just naturally been tough on him. But I've really liked his play since he's come back from injury. And tonight, he was rock solid in the paint for the Detroit Pistons, getting 11 points, 8 rebounds, 4 of 8 shooting, 1 of 2 from the 3-point line, only 2 turnovers, only 3 fouls rather, and 2 of 2 from the free throw line. I have been very happy with Isaiah Stewart's play. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure what the missing link was before and what he's doing now that he's just really making an impact. I just think he's really active ever since he got back. I think it tortured him sitting on the bench watching so many games. I think he was ready to be back, and he's been making his presence felt in a big way. And his play has been leading to winning style basketball for the Pistons.
Yeah, when you have a guy like Stu who can get you points on any given night, can hit the glass and get you a board any given night, it really helps. The last couple of games that we had when he was out with injury, most recently with the Bucks there, before the last game against the Bucks, the one prior to that, it was evident that we missed him. We missed a guy who could get you a rebound. And then the first game back with the Bucks there, most recently, you saw how good he is. You saw how hard-nosed he is, how he wanted to be out there. He was getting you a rebound. He gave us 19 points off the bench. He gave us a good quality game. And then tonight gives you another good quality game, because without a hard-nosed player like Stu, it's harder to win in this league. When you have a guy that is not afraid to go chase down LeBron James after tasting blood in his mouth, that says something. That speaks volumes of how great of a player he is. I'm not saying he's great because he had blood in his mouth and he was willing to fight someone. I'm not saying that. But when it all comes down to it, the fact that he can give you what you want him to give you on a nightly basis, that speaks volumes as to how crucial of a piece he is with this team.
Before we wrap up tonight's recap, I want to mention 2 more things. Something I have to mention is the Pistons shot and finished through 4 quarters 50% from the field. these last 5 games, they have been shooting fairly efficient. They have been not putting up goose eggs as far as the shooting efficiently department. And then also one thing that they're turning around and how you can see factual that the Pistons are improving is they finish with 11 turnovers. Because if this was 2 months ago at the beginning of the season, or pretty much all last season, they were flirting with 20 turnovers every game. They are starting to slowly but surely get that statistic to slowly go down. And it's them finishing with 11 turnovers is proving that they are getting better and better each week.
Yeah. When you limit turnovers, I mean, good things happen. That's the bottom line. When you limit fouling, good things happen. That's the bottom line. And they've been improving in those two statistical categories the last month or so. And it's been great to see because the recaps we've done in the past where we're going like, yeah, they had 20 turnovers and 23 fouls, and that was a big negative, right? But now you can't really deem that as a negative anymore. Yes, you still had 11 turnovers. That's bad. That's not good. But the fact that you've almost cut that in half and you're seeing the growth that they're having and being able to protect the ball on a nightly basis, it's it kind of makes you like all giddy inside. Like it excites you for what's to come because you're like, this team is really young. They have a lot of talent. They could actually go somewhere. I'm not saying that they're going to make the play-in tournament. I'm not even saying that they're going to finish close to 500. But the point is, the fact that there's been this much growth this fast, and you're going, Ryan, that's not fast. 43, 44 games into the season. Now you're finally starting to fix this a little bit. It's been going on since we've been hitting the 22 mark in turnovers a game. Every practice, I'm sure they're working their tails off on limiting turnovers. And so the fact that they are out here tonight giving us 11 turnovers, it's still bad, but it's a very good thing to see because it just excites you for what's to come with this young team.
That will do it for tonight's recap of the Detroit Pistons versus the Charlotte Hornets. Before you guys leave, I want to make sure to remind you guys to tune into rather this week's episode. This week we break down the trade that happened earlier last week of the Pistons trading with the Washington Wizards for Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and traded away Marvin Bagley and Isaiah Livers. So we talk about the loss of our former Pistons, and then we talk about the improvements that may have been made with this trade. So make sure to tune in and like that episode and get to know all our thoughts and feelings on that trade. And we also get into a lot of statistics with Mike Muscala and Danilo Gallinari. And we talk about what to expect from those newest Detroit Pistons. We will see you guys in the next Revved Up recap. Peace.